Okay, class, you may begin. Our first tip is budgeting your time. Make sure that you have sufficient time to prepare studying for the material. Don't cram. Feeling prepared going into the test is the first key to success.
The next tip for preparing for a test is to attempt to go to like a review session, if the class has a review session, or if you have like individual study groups that have review sessions, always help.
The second tip is going over any material from classroom. Any homework, practice tests, handouts, PowerPoints. A lot of people like to use the success books. Anything that helps you feel prepared going in to take this test.
Another great tip for preparing before the test is to make sure you have a good breakfast. And what I mean by a good breakfast is something that's going to, fill you up, but not too much. Like nothing's going to overdistend you. Also avoid like heavy, greasy foods because then that takes energy from your body to kind of digest that. It's actually recommended that you have a couple of servings of fruit so you can have some quick energy. And then also follow that up with some kind of protein, like eggs are good. Try to avoid like sausages and stuff with like heavy oils, but eggs, that protein digests and keeps the blood sugar level throughout the day. So that's also a very important thing that you can do before the test.
Try to show up about 15 minutes prior to the test. This will help you not feel as rushed, help alleviate any of the anxiety going in.
If you've ever overslept or ran late for a test, then you know that this next tip is very important. Make sure you have some kind of backup system. If your alarm fails, like maybe have a second alarm or have someone who can call you or wake you up, because tests are very nerve-wracking to begin with, but if you're running late and rushed, then that's only going to increase your anxiety and make the whole experience even more horrible than it can already be. So make sure you have that backup.
Try to use the bathroom before going in to take the test. You don't want to have to waste time getting up and going and wasting precious minutes while the test is going on.
Another great tip, this might sound mean or whatnot, but if you have classmates that are just very anxious people or have like test anxiety themselves and they always seem to be like a bundle of nerves before a test, then it's probably best to kind of avoid them because their anxiety could feed your anxiety, and you guys could have like a anxiety cycle. So try to avoid those kind of people. If you do better just by yourself before the test, then just try to stay by yourself, or maybe just chat with some of your class buddies or study mates before the test.
Our next tip is to not pull an all-nighter. You want to make sure that you have adequate rest going in so that your brain is functioning properly. We recommend 6 to 8 hours. Our next tip is to stay relaxed and keep a positive attitude throughout the entire test. If you have a negative attitude, it only promotes more anxiety.
Another big issue that students have is they tend to be stuck on a problem, and that problem can just take 10 minutes of their time, and they don't move on, they stay with that one problem. A great idea, especially for nursing students, is if you come to a problem or scenario and you don't know the answer, or you have a couple of choices that you think the answer may be, go ahead and just put a mark on it, like an X or something, so you know that you can go back to that problem, and then just continue moving on. And make sure when you move on that you're not thinking about the previous problem. Give the new problem all your attention. Also, and once you do that, you go back, and you should have plenty of time to go back and look at those answers, look at those problems that you marked down that you couldn't do, and look at them again. Maybe something later on in the test kind of helped you figure out the answer for that current problem. Also, for problems that you answered but you thought, could have been another answer, go ahead and mark those too. So when you go back to review the test, you spend more time at those problems, and you can look at it and reread it again. We always say always go with your first gut feeling, but it's good to mark those problems, because if you read something later on the test and you're like, you know what, no, I really think that's another answer. So if you're still not sure, then always best to go with your original assumption and the original answer.
Our next tip is to pace yourself. Don't rush through. Make sure you're reading the question and all of the answer options in their entirety. Options A, B, and C may be good answers, but D may be the best. And get used to removing all information that's not important to the question.
Another also big thing is don't add to the problem, so read the problem as it is and read the answers. If there's a few answers that look good, choose the one that you don't have to change the question at all. Never add anything to the question. If A could be right if something in the scenario was slightly different, or you add something to it, then A is not the answer. So make sure you read the question as is and never add anything to it. Especially nursing students, because we get a lot of scenario questions that if you add some stuff to it, the other answers might be good. So always read the question as it is in its entirety.
Our next tip is to not worry if someone finishes the test before you. Okay, there is no reward for finishing first. Many people like to go back through and scan their test to make sure that all their answers coincide with the answers that they have on their test.
So all those tips are really great to help prepare students for the test and during the test, and and that's all good and everything. But there are some students that no matter how well they prepare or how focused in all the tips they use during the test, they still have test anxiety.
It can be a learned behavior, or it can be a natural response to how much pressure there is on each test, being that they're weighted so much of the curriculum.
So to help with just test-related anxiety in itself, of course you're going to do all the pre-test method, tips. Make sure you're prepared well, and all the tips during the test. But some that just specifically to help relieve test anxiety. Again, to reiterate, a positive attitude, that's 99% of the battle. Make sure you go into taking the test, go in saying that you're going to do well. If you go in thinking that you're going to fail, you're going to fail, because that's just how the world works. So go in thinking that you're going to do well and will yourself to do well. Also, again, for test related, specifically a good night's sleep. If you're sleep deprived, your body's stressed. If your body's stressed, some of those hormones that cause anxiety are more elevated. So make sure you have a good night's sleep. Also, for test anxiety, make sure you show up early, like a good 15-20 minutes, so you can have that time period to help mentally prepare to take the test and help calm down your anxiety. And are there some skills that you can use during the test to help relieve anxiety?
There are, Gavin. You can stay relaxed, keep a positive attitude. If you feel yourself getting worked up, take a minute, take a few deep breaths, get yourself calmed back down. You can also use imagery work. You can close your eyes and imagine the stress melting away and leaving your body. take a minute, recollect yourself, and then get back to work. Go get it.
Great. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jake. I'm president of Alpha Delta Nu. You've just seen a video brought to you on testing tips and anxiety.
Hi, I'm Katie. This is a project brought to you by Alpha Delta Nu Honor Society.
And I'm Gavin, and we appreciate you watching.